business where he is building spaceships down in Florida. So Chandler got a job there, and he was set to move down to Florida. He had even found an apartment. He had a lovely 21-year-old girlfriend who he had been seeing for 3 years, and she was going to be moving with him down to Florida. She was very excited and very proud. So, you might wonder, what would make a person like this want to commit a murder? Well, the truth is, none of the things that I just told you about Chandler are true. None of them, not a single one. But yet, for years he had been, as they say, spinning this web of lies to his family and friends and girlfriend. And everyone believed him. I guess it all started when he started going to college. He did originally attend this college, MATC as it's called. But it really didn't work out. In his first semester, I think, maybe he passed one class out of the 5. And the second semester, maybe he passed another one or withdrew from a bunch. But all in all, he hardly attended any college. And he hardly passed any of the college. And by the time when this crime occurs, like right before that, his father had been saying, hey, you're 23, you've been in school a while, when are you going to graduate? Like, what is happening? And Chandler said, well, I don't know, I've been speaking to them, I've been emailing, my credits are all messed up, I should be graduating, but they have to figure out what's happening. And he actually showed his father lots and lots and lots of phony emails. He had made accounts from fictional people, and he had written these people back and forth. And then he showed all of these emails to his father. So his father was actually getting pretty frustrated for him, like, this school is pushing him around, this is ridiculous. And as far as the paying job XYZ. And this person on the phone said, we don't have those people working here. So he said, alright, let's make an appointment. I'm gonna come in. So the appointment was for July 1st. And he told Chandler, we're gonna go together to the school. running his fireplace, you know, because I guess they could tell the smoke is coming out of the chimney. And it smells like something just doesn't smell right. It smells like a pig roast, they said. As awful as that sounds right now. So anyway, that was that. And then he needed to figure out what he was going to do with the rest of them. So his girlfriend had a very nice, large farmhouse with a swimming pool and forest and a foresty area. And he was invited over there for the 4th of July. And he was in the pool and he was saying, you know, I've had this injury and it would actually be very helpful for me to use the pool, you know, because it's easier on my, you know, body than doing other kinds of exercise. So his girlfriend's mother said, you know what, anytime you want, just stop by to use the pool. So he did, the very next day. He came over, unannounced. He said, is it okay if I use the pool? And the mom said, yeah, sure. But then a little bit later, she looked outside and he wasn't in the pool. And she's like, where is he? Like, that's weird. So she looks out further and sees him coming out of the forest. You know, the forest on her property. And he's got his car parked right on the edge there of the forest. And the hatch is open. So what do you think might have gone on back there? Well, sadly, nothing good, okay? Meanwhile, he told his girlfriend, I believe around about that same time, that he had seen the doctor and he was not going to be able to go to Florida for this job because he can't fly. So forget about it. He's not going to take the job at SpaceX working for Elon Musk. And she was thinking, are you, what? You're going to give up this whole job? Like, you'll get better, you know? We can drive there. Like, what do you mean? He's like, no, forget it. And then he said to her, you know what, why don't you come over my house tonight and can you bring some ice? You know, pick up some bags of ice. And can you bring the Swiffer mop that you have at your house? Because I cut my foot and I bled on the floor and I could use the mop. And can you bring some peroxide for my foot as well? So she did. She brought him those things. What do you think he wanted the ice for? Yes, he had the rest of the body parts in his deep freezer. And I don't know, do you need ice in a deep freezer? I thought it works on its own, but I don't know. He needed ice for whatever reason. And he needed to do a bunch of cleaning. So she came over. She said it smelled very, very smoky. I think he said the reason that it smelled smoky was because he had broken the fireplace door. Something like that. Anyway, she slept over. They slept in the living room on the couch. They pushed 2 couches together for some reason instead of going upstairs. And then he said the next day he they said, well, did you hear from them at all? He said he got one text. So he shows them the text that he received from his mother. By the way, she should have sent like tons of texts, okay, if she were really alive. But there was one text, and it said that they did not have any cell service. So this was the only message that she could get to him. It was on Sunday. It was on the 4th of July when the text was sent. And she said they would be going to the parade that night. So he's saying, they made it up to the cabin, obviously, and then that's all he heard from her. So the police contacted the police department up by this cabin, and those police officers checked it out and said nobody had been there in ages. The grass was overgrown, and they could tell no one had been there. So it's not looking too good right now, okay? Also, they could not have gone to the parade on the 4th of July because the parade was celebrated on the 3rd of July, because the 3rd was a Saturday, and that way people wouldn't have to rush home. So that seems a little fishy. Why did the mother say she was going to the parade on Sunday? So they're gonna go talk to some other people, right? So the police go and talk to the girlfriend and the girlfriend's parents. So the mother says, listen, Chandler was here on the 5th, and he went out into those woods, and I don't know what he did. So they go take a look, and you know what they found? They found a torso. Just a torso. No arms or legs. No head. It was Bart, the father. And they spoke to the girlfriend, who told them everything she knew, which was, nothing really. But, some of the things turned out to be quite suspicious in retrospect. Like, why did you bring him ice? Well, she didn't realize she was an accomplice almost. An innocent accomplice. up Chandler's license, his driver's license. Just, and the gun, just to show that he had given it to him. I don't know if that's really legit how he did that, but he didn't want to wind up in any trouble if anything happened with the gun in the future. I would think if you were worried about trouble, you wouldn't just give your gun away to somebody like that, but it's not really relevant. Anyway, they went and they got Chandler, brought him down to the police station, asked him the story. He told them the same old story again. They were originally only able to arrest him for providing false information regarding missing people, but as the time went on, they were able to change the charge to, murder. So ultimately, it went to trial. His lawyer had no case to present whatsoever. I don't know if it was because she couldn't find anything or wasn't that good of a lawyer or what it was. But we know he did it. There's no two ways about it, and so what difference does it make? We don't want him to have a lawyer that's so good that she could get him off, right? But anyway, she brought no witnesses. She just had nothing. And just her statements were so pointless. She's like, sometimes the things that you don't hear are just as important as the things that you do hear. So just because you have heard some things that don't sound good, there are other things that you haven't heard, and those are meaningful too. She was just talking and just throwing words around that were graduating